Welcome on in, members of the chapter, as well as the Sons of Gilliman. This is Spruce and Studs, and today we are going to be taking a look at yet another Indomitus Box release. And it's actually very cool that JoyToy is coming out with these action figures from the Indomitus Box kind of back to back. So the one that we're going to be looking at is going to be the Bladeguard Ancient. So I'll just stop talking and let's get to the review.
Let's unbox this bad boy and reveal what is inside.
All right, members of the chapter, it is time to dive headlong into the review of this Bladeguard Ancient. So starting off with the helmeted area, we are kind of looking at a iron halo that's up top, and the iron halo is obviously gold. There appears to be some sort of shading that's happening between the spikes of the iron halo. And as we are taking a look at the helmet of this action figure, you can see that there is that characteristic worn white color. So there is shading here and shading in the vents, which is very nice, as well as on other areas. One thing that I'm going to say is that with regards to the lenses, I believe that JoyToy is going to go through with the metallic lens look, and I really do hope that they keep this up. The cool thing about this figure is that they've actually accented the lenses with this black outline, which makes the red further jump out a little bit more. So moving on, we're going to take a look at the right pauldron, and the right pauldron kind of doesn't really exist. If you want to flip this over, it's kind of like a very small blue shoulder pad here. So this is probably to accommodate the cloth that is happening. And this cloth right here, we've seen before in a lot of these JoyToy action figures. So you got this base bone color. And then in the deeper recesses, you have this darker shading. In the left-hand pauldron, you get to see the Ultramarines U, a skull, and a bunch of writing that is screened onto the pauldron of this action figure. It is not engraved in. So moving on to the middle part of this action figure, you get to see that the golden skull is kind of binding all this fabric together, which is kind of like a nice touch. There is a heraldic shield here with a red and then a checkered pattern, the Ultramarines U, as well as some very lengthy purity seals that are dangling down. So the writing on the purity seals is etched into the plastic itself. So taking a quick look at the forearm of this action figure, there is kind of like a golden cross and a skull in the middle of it, and there is nice extensive shading that it's around the skull. So moving on to the middle portion of this action figure, there is a silver buckle, as well as a silver end for the belt that is keeping the robes together. And dangling down here are some ornate silver kind of beads, and dangling down from the beads is clearly a key and a golden ornament. As we move on to the side over here, you get to see a blue silver studded armor plate with a golden skull in the middle. And if we flip around to the other side, it is the same case, except that there are also purity seal ribbons that are dangling down. With the back, there is an accessory pouch and a holstered heavy bolt pistol. It's really cool, in my opinion, that you see this leather kind of look that's happening with this. There are folds within the leather that make this holster really lifelike. So the final thing that we're going to be looking at is the tabard of this action figure. The color of this tabard down here does match the color of this upper piece of cloth. However, if you progress on down, there is a darker shade over here. And if we flip this area over, there is absolutely no adornment whatsoever with the legs. It is just your characteristic Ultramarines legs. However, there is subtle shading that's happening within the armor panel recesses, and you also get to see that with the feet as well. All right, that is the body of the Bladeguard Ancient. Let's take a look at the Astartes banner, and the handle of the banner is clearly a gunmetal silver color, and this pervades all throughout the handle itself. However, there is light silver highlighting that's happening all over the place. And moving on to the main body of the quote-unquote banner is a, well, gigantic winged skeleton. So this winged skeleton does have an iron halo up here. With the iron halo, unfortunately, there is no highlighting or shading whatsoever. it is just a solid gold. And progressing on down, you see a skeleton that looks like a Terminator sort of skeleton. So you got half the side that is silver and half the side is just the skeleton bone color. There's plenty of shading that's happening within the recesses here. And it looks like this skeleton has sort of like a cybernetic eye implant because there is a glowing metallic red eye that is staring at you. The jaw is clearly ajar and wide open. And as you progress on down, I will say that this skeleton is gorgeous looking. There is plenty of shading that's happening within the recesses of all these bones that further makes the white of the bones stand out. There's these nice leather bindings that are binding the skeleton, I believe, to this banner itself. There's sort of like a silver shackled amulet that's happening over here. And there are plenty of purity seals that are hanging down on both sides. And out to the side are the wings, and unfortunately with the wings there really isn't that much shading. As we flip to the other side, you can see some rough shading between the feathers of it. You can actually move the head of the skeleton around. This moves 180 degrees, and it does have some nodding kind of movement. Now let's take a quick look at this amulet right here. So the amulet is of a gunmetal color, but you can see that there is plenty of shading that's happening between the links of this chain. And there's also shading between these skeletal parts of the hand. And this part has also been highlighted up a nice light silver color, which makes this part jump out. Okay, we're going to do a very quick assembling of the Bladeguard's banner. So this is an amulet that attaches to the banner. I believe that you loop the little amulet here, and then you just place this peg into this hole. And voila, we have the banner assembled. The movement for this Bladeguard is pretty much the same for all Primaris action figures, even with the fabric here, because there is so much gap and how this action figure is constructed. There really isn't any restriction of motion. You can actually spin this arm around 360 degrees. I thought this arm would not be able to do that. With the legs, you can kick it out about this far, which is the same as any other Primaris action figure. However, you do encounter a little bit of resistance because of the heavy bolt pistol holster, as well as the fabric right here. All right, that is the in-depth review of this action figure. Now let's determine to see if this action figure is worth it or not. All right, folks, let me know what you thought of this Bladeguard Ancient in the comments section below, and also let me know whether you're planning to buy this action figure or it's going to be a hard pass for you. So I'm gonna let you know what I think about this action figure. In terms of the body of this action figure, I kind of think that is okay. It tends to be a little bit more plain, I think, compared to the rest of the action figures that have come out. I would say that there are a few things that jump out at me. The heraldic shield is something that jumps out when you're looking at a crowd of Ultramarines, just because it is very ornate. And then the robes that this action figure has also makes it jump out. But in terms of just the adornments, it seems to be a little flat to me, but again, that's just my opinion. The biggest draw to me for this action figure was this banner here. The banner completely mimics the Bladeguard Captain with the relic shield, as that one also has a skeleton that's on it, and this one also has a skeleton too. Another nice thing about this action figure is that since Space Marines are so big and they are relatively heavy, that this Bladeguard Ancient is able to hold this banner up by himself without any kind of help, unlike the Imagifier as well as the Imperial Guard banner holders. To wrap this one up, thank you for tuning in each and every single week, and if you are interested in buying this action figure, once again, please click on the link in the description below, where you will be directed to a very reputable website where I get all my action figures. And when you check out, please do not forget to use the code SNS to receive 12% off on your plastic crack purchase. And with that being said, I'll see you all in the next one.